It's casual, not formal. It's hosted by Rory, Penland, and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
Okay.
We're
Wow.
here. We did it.
Oh
we
my
did it.
God.
We got to tell everyone about the experience we just had because Billy Vera is here. The legendary icon of the industry is actually here. And we saw him. We were having some tech gremlins and we
We have a
watched
major sound tech gremlins, yes.
troubleshooting with Billy. And he was the most cool, calm cat under all
He
this
was
pressure.
such a cool cat,
was
as he
so
always
cool.
is.
It was
As he
like the
always
most
is.
pleasurable experience of my life. I'm so glad it happened.
Renee and I are going to be talking about this for decades.
My entire career is going to be based on this moment.
We got to see him do his audio magic
Yes.
live.
And then I said to Rory, I was like, he's so cool and calm, you know, like a lot of guests get really like frustrated. And then I was like, oh, it's Billy Vera. Like come on, he's done how many
Come on,
sound
he's the
checks
king
in
of
his
cool.
career?
You
He's
know,
the
what do
king
you
of cool.
expect?
Like it was so awesome. Yeah. So here we are, and that's why we're late, but it was totally worth it. And he's backstage, and we're gonna bring him up any minute.
Yes, I want to explain to the audience what we were up against. I don't know if you saw the Dennis Tardon show that we did. I think it was December last year, where I tried to come on as several characters to have them interview the characters.
Oh,
And
yes.
for some reason, I was sounding like a robot that was dying.
It was awful, and we kept telling you, and like,
and it kept getting slower and slower and slower.
It's like a robot. It was awful.
And it was just a nightmare.
Awful.
And I'm like, Dennis Tardon is doing this. I know he is. I know he's doing this to me.
But the thing is
this is a joke.
But when he was interviewing Lars Nagel, like some months prior to that, it happened to him, and he kept rolling with it.
It just happens sometimes.
It just happens. It's life, you know. It's showbiz, and like Billy Vera was saying, you know, this is showbiz. You just keep going, you know. You just smile through it. So, and it was really pleasurable to do that with Billy, and I'm very happy about this situation. I'm just so fucking happy. Anyways,
and yes, because we were touching the button.
We were massaging the button. Yeah. It was the light touch. It was very.
So let's go ahead and bring him up here. There he is.
There he is.
So good to see you again. And what an interesting adventure we just had.
It was one for the books.
Check your mute. No, uncheck your mute.
It was really fabulous. Thank you, Billy, for being
go out and come back in again.
That really set the bar for how people should act when things are not going their way, and it's a live show, and people are saying, "Where are you?" And Billy's just there, like working it through so intellectually, and he's like, "I'm not a good tech guy," and I'm like, "Well, if you're not, who would be?" Because he figured it out, and here we are.
Yeah.
So well,
and we're gonna do the full hour.
You keep trying and keep guessing. You know,
we got a little counter up on the left-hand side there. We've only been on for about 3.5 minutes, but again, we'll give you the full hour. We're gonna go late.
All right.
Come hell or high water.
Oh yeah, Billy Vera, we're going late. We already asked him, can you please stay a little late? He said yes, so we're very excited.
So how have you been?
I've been great. I just came back from doing a performance at my high school. I'm class of 62 at Archbishop Stepanak High School in White Plains.
Patrick. William Patrick.
Yeah, William Patrick McCord, my name. And I saw all these kids I hadn't seen in like 60 years, or some of them. You know, I mean, it was really cool. And we have this beautiful theater in my school. You know, we had couple of really great actors came out of Stepanak, Alan Alda and John Voight. They were all ahead of me a few years. So we had a wonderful theater and a great stage, you know, proscenium stage. And so I got to perform there. And I had little concerns about the house band. I said, I don't know I don't like working with house bands. They could really suck and ruin my music. So I just said, look, man, you know, this is not some stupid doo-wop music. This is nuanced, you know, complex music. You know, so you got to really learn. I send you your charts. You got to have guys that could read music, and you got to have guys that. And I sent all YouTube videos of each song. Listen to that because I want you to get the feel right. So then I got there and I had a little rehearsal. And I went through the songs, and they took direction very well, and they played my music really well. So
Okay.
I was happy, and I was able to do a good performance.
I was going to say, hey, where are the beaters?
Yeah,
I need the beaters.
Well, nobody was paying for the beaters to come to fly all the way to New York.
You know? They should have flown them out.
Yeah, right.
Darn it. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of pictures of you on social media, hanging out with the Presleys.
Yeah, man. You know, Priscilla invited me to see a screening of the movie, and I got to sit next to Mike Stoller, who, you know, with his late partner, the Jerry Lieber, they wrote, you know, Hound Dog and all those great Elvis songs.
Oh wow!
So Mike was happy. He had a lot of songs in the movie, so it was like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching every 5 minutes.
Spoken like a true songwriter.
That's exciting.
Yeah, that's songwriting.
I wanted to ask you, how Elvis may have. What is your relationship with Elvis growing up, like, or just how influential was Elvis to you, and what does it mean to you to be involved with like Priscilla, like to know her? Just what does that mean to you as a performer and also personally?
Well, as a kid, you know, I of course I liked Elvis. I liked pre-army Elvis especially, but I was more into like Fats Domino and Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers and Dion and the Belmonts and Chuck Berry and those people. But and I was also listening to the music my mom brought home, because my mom was, as we said last time, I think, my mom was a singer, the Ray Charles singers on the Perry Como show.
The white Ray Charles.
The white Ray, the original Ray Charles. And she'd bring home some pretty cool records, you know, Sinatra's Songs for Young Lovers, Songs for Swinging Lovers, Duke Ellington, you know, Nancy Wilson. So I had that influence in addition to the rock and roll of my generation. So, you know, that was cool. But Elvis, you know, he was such an icon. You know, he was one of a kind. So, you know, I couldn't possibly be him. I just thought it would be foolish to try to be him. So I can't say that he influenced me other than, you know, wow, rock and roll is great. You know,
There you go.
Priscilla in 1981, the Beaters, when we had our first record out, we won the gold prize at the Tokyo Music Festival, and she was a judge. So, you know, we saw each other a couple of times back then, and then a mutual friend reintroduced us, I don't know, within the last 6 months or so. So we've been going to things, the three of us been going to things together. And she's, you know, really nice person.
You're talking about Lisa Marie?
Well, I don't want to comment on her relationship with Lisa Marie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought when you said the three of us. So, okay.
No, this mutual friend.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of reviews of the new movie out, and it's supposed to be a really good movie. I mean, it's a really good representation of what happened. And Tom Hanks's most hated character ever now.
Yeah. He does a great job at playing the Colonel.
Yeah, he's playing the Colonel in that. And evidently a lot of people are just saying, I never thought I would hate Tom Hanks, but wow.
Yeah. You know, a buddy of mine worked for the publishing company that had all Elvis's music. The Colonel had made a deal with Hill and Range Music Publishing for a split deal between Elvis the Colonel and Hill and Range. So they co-published as many songs as they could get their hands on that Elvis recorded. And so my friend worked for them, and part of his job there was to bring the demos to Elvis for his perusal. which songs he would choose to record.
Right.
And so his boss, my friend's boss, would say, he said, now listen, whatever you do, put all the songs by the unrecouped songwriters on the top of the pile, so he hears them first. And what that means is when a songwriter brings a song to a publisher, they give them what's known as an advance against royalties, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to start getting royalties, you have to recoup the amount of the advance.
Right.
I know it's a little inside baseball for most people, but I'm sure your listeners are all smart people and they get it. So in other words, the idea was make sure Elvis hears the songs that we don't have to pay for.
Yeah, right. Have to pay exorbitant fees on early
until they make back their advance. Yeah.
There you go. Smart. That's business.
Yeah, it's business, boy.
We have another host of one of our other shows called No Icing with Dritta, who is a huge, huge fan of yours. And she wanted to come on and say hi. And she actually recorded a little snippet of music that she wanted us to play for you, just for you. She wanted to give it just to you. So, Renee, can we play that song?
Yeah, definitely. We're only going to play about 45 seconds just so that we don't
want to get in the copyright. But...
The copyright monsters have been very active, but we'll play a little bit. And then she's backstage. She's really wants to meet you, Billy. So
yes,
she'll come on right afterwards. But here's a little snippet here.
This is Sandie Dee and Grande.
What did you think I would do at this moment when you're standing before me, tears in your eyes, trying to tell me that you found you another, and you just don't love me no more.
All right, let's bring Sandie up. There she is.
Hello, Sandie.
Oh my gosh, I get to meet Billy Vera. I'm dying right now. Oh
nice job. Good phrasing.
I love your music. I'm a huge fan. I'm ecstatic. I'm like going crazy all day about this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing that for me.
Sandie is our San Diego special.
I don't know if you're married. I'm married, but I still had to get all dressed up and do my hair and makeup for you. My makeup crew never showed up, but I got all dressed up for you because I was so excited. I'm beyond.
Well, I did my hairs for you too. Both of them.
Well, Sandie is, I wasn't sure if she was going to try to get him on this show or if she was going to get him for her show to meet you. But Sandie, why don't you tell him about the special guest you're going to have on your show in the near future? Maybe you can invite Billy on to meet him.
Oh, am I allowed to talk about this, Renee?
It's your show.
Okay, she's allowed. I think you're allowed to talk about it because we're getting really close to the date.
Am I allowed? Oh my God!
I think you can talk about it. Yes, do it. I think we should do it here live with Billy. I think we should do it live with Billy.
Okay. I don't know if y'all watched the Jersey Shore and the Jersey Shore family reunion. I'm from Staten Island. My whole family's from Staten Island, Billy. So I'm friends with Uncle Nino from the Jersey Shore. I don't know if you know him, but he knows you. He knows your music. You're huge in New York. You're huge in Staten
That
Island.
guy.
On the East Coast, everyone knows who you are. I'm like dying. And
Sandie,
maybe you can meet him. I don't know if you guys want to meet each other, but he's a huge MTV celebrity and you're huge. You're legendary. So like, oh my God, like, I don't know.
I just played back. I was just telling Renee and Rory that I just played back at my high school in White Plains, New York. And I do have a friend from Staten Island, Vito Picone of the Elegance.
Vito,
where are you, little star? That's my buddy from the old days.
Wow, this is exciting. This is very exciting. Well, that would be a cool thing. I don't know if you watch, MTV and Jersey Shore, but Uncle Nino is like the paparazzi follows him around everywhere. He's a
Okay.
reality
Wow.
star.
He's quite a
And
character.
He's
Oh.
like the original. They call him the original Guido. He's like the OG.
Yeah,
And
he's Vinny's uncle.
Get it.
Vinny's uncle.
He's Vinny's uncle, and he's going to be on Sandie Dee's show. And Sandie was like, if Billy wanted to stop by and introduce you to each other, because Uncle Nino's a big fan of yours, also Billy, that
If
you
you have
can. There's
time.
no pressure. There's no
That'd be
pressure.
legendary.
If you have time.
I'd love to do it, Sandie. I'd love to.
August 4th.
Congratulations!
August 4th. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations, Sandie.
I'm verklempt.
I'm verklempt.
Renee.
Ah!
Is this real, Renee? Is this real?
This is real. Pinch yourself.
Somebody
Let's all
pinch me.
pinch
I'm
ourselves.
Irish.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
And hopefully you won't have the audio problems that we did getting your show set
Okay.
up.
Well, no, you know the thing is too about Uncle Nino is terrible at technology. We gotta do a test run because he's terrible at that stuff. He has everybody doing it. All the camera guys, they show up and they do everything for him. And that's what I was wondering, Billy. I was wondering if how is it can you go out and get a cup of coffee without being harassed by the paparazzi and people and
Oh yeah, there's different levels of celebrity. There's different and there's different kinds of celebrity. I did a movie with Willie Nelson some years ago, and he invited me to go to some of his shows, and I was struck by that his fans treat him the same way my fans treat me, which is not, oh my God, it's never that. It's like, hey, Billy, what's happening, brother? And that's how they treat, Willie's fans treat him. So it's just, they relate to different people different ways. And I guess the way they relate to me is like they know me,
They know you. That's exactly how Uncle Nino is. You feel like you know
Willie,
him.
you want to talk?
Friend.
You know him.
Yeah,
You see him
what's up,
in
Willie?
the studio in the jacuzzi.
Let's light up.
Yeah.
I know him.
I mean, I remember when I was in New York 2 weeks ago, I went down and I'm up in Italian Harlem, at this place called Rayo's, my favorite restaurant.
Oh yeah.
And I got out of the car and some cab driver drives by. Hey man, Billy Vera, my man, So that's how they treat me,
And that's good. You get one of those every now and again, and it's not everybody hassling you to get an autograph all the time.
No, nobody.
But again, every now and again, somebody will see you and they'll give you a little tribute, and it feels good.
Yeah, nobody bothers me, man.
Without losing your privacy. So that's cool.
Yeah,
It's like the perfect equilibrium. Which song, Billy, do people sing at you throughout your career? Does someone stop you on the street and just sing a song at you? What song would that be?
The funny part of it is that there's one great weakness in my biggest song at this moment, which is it has a lousy title, because I couldn't think of a title for it. I wrote the song, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to call it? And even after I got a publisher, Warner Brothers published the song, and nobody could figure what are you going to call it? So my manager says, anything, just call it At This Moment. And so that's how I got titled.
Look at Sandie's face.
That's
People
how I
come
got
back- her
to
away.
my show is from Rory and Renee. Rory and Renee.
Yeah, people will come up to me and say, "Oh, I love your song. What did you think?" Or they'll say, "I love that song. I could just hold you again." They don't even know what to call it. You know what? Didn't stop them from buying it. So, right?
I think it sums up the song nicely at this moment.
And it was on a legendary TV sitcom show.
Here you go.
I think they should call it 30 Years Off My Life.
I
Rory,
tell you,
how do
funny.
you know all these amazing people, Rory? How do you know all these amazing people?
I just looked out
How do
with
you know
Billy Vera. I just invited him to come on the show a year ago, and he was one of the nicest people. He got
just
back
said
to me
yes?
right away and said, sure, yeah.
The
So,
funniest thing
yeah.
about that song is I got, I don't know, some years ago when I was first on Facebook, this woman contacted me, and she told me that her grandfather wrote the great standard Moonlight in Vermont. You probably know that song. Great song. And And I said, she said, my grandfather's song and your song have something in common. I said, well, what's that? She said, neither song has any rhymes in it. And, I'm a pretty good rhymer. And it never occurred to me that I didn't make one rhyme. And at this moment,
it's a haiku.
It's a haiku, baby. Yeah.
It's perfect.
But it's more conversational that way.
Yeah.
I think without rhyme, we don't converse in rhymes.
And again, I don't think most people realize that until you say something about it.
Yeah. I've been talking with you 20
this is
minutes.
nice. This sounds good.
Yeah, we've been talking for 20 minutes now, and nobody has rhymed anything yet.
There we go.
What did you think?
I'm going to start charging you money.
He's going to start charging you. Remember, he's the guy with the copyright.
Yeah, I want to get some more.
Hello, publisher, Warner Brothers. This chick singing my song on for Cochra's show.
She's done it twice now.
Do you get a check every time she sings your song?
Renee, I'm always in trouble, Renee. You know that.
I know she's a bad, very bad. No, she's not. But I want to share this with everyone. Okay, so we're backstage with Billy, and he was troubleshooting tech gremlins. He was killing the tech gremlins. He was like slaying them. It was beautiful, right? And then I said, okay, let's try your iPhone instead. And so I was taking him through the prompts, and he said, yeah, but it's not going to be as quality as my current setup. And he said, and I said, well, let's just do the iPhone or whatever. And he goes, if you have to choose between quality or risk, you go with quality. And we went on, and this is the show we got. And I'm telling you, that changed my whole life. So everyone, I want to give you that piece of advice. Between quality or risk, you go with quality. And that's what Billy just taught us.
I'll take the risk.
I think it was Sandie. When Sandie came in, everything, all the tech gremlins went away. She's good luck.
She's very good luck. Yeah, that's true.
I take the risk, Renee. That's why I'm always in trouble. I'm always risking it.
She's the risk taker. I was going to be the risk taker. He said, no, go for quality. So I'm going to reroute my life based on that.
I've made a side career doing voiceovers. And one of my clients sent me a professional microphone, right? Here. No. Where is it? Anyway, it's there somewhere. And so it has perfect studio quality. And I said, man, it's so different than the phone that's on my computer, which sucks. It sounds amateur hour. So I'd rather sound good than not sound good.
There you go. I'm going to go back to asking you some questions about your career here because we've had a lot of fun doing this. But back in 1962, you started your career, your singing career with the Contrasts. Am I right?
Well, there was no band or group called the Contrasts. We were the Night Riders. But they had made a record for another company before I joined them, an instrumental. And so they were contractually not allowed to use that name. So after we made the record, well, what are we going to call ourselves? So I don't remember who, maybe my mother probably, because this is how my mother thought. She was in show business. So she said, well, make sure you use your name. She said, not just the band name. She says, you want your name out front. So we called it Billy Vera and the Contrasts, whatever that meant. So that's how we were the Contrast for one record.
We just had a comment. I'm laughing because we just had a comment. It says, I love your song. What would you think?
I rest my case, Your Honor.
we just talked about that.
That's Michelle. She's in Staten Island. She's in New York. She knows.
Mariah got it right.
So
Mariah.
There you go, Mariah. How was that? What was that time like for you? That beginning when you were just getting started and it was just, you were just getting into the business.
Well, I had just graduated high school that year, and I was already playing around Catholic school dances and that kind of stuff, and we were kind of the rage, in that world of, we play rock and roll, and the priest would get mad and pull the plug on our amps, and the kids would get mad and have a riot, and they'd walk out. We'd go downtown to Manhattan, and we'd go to this place called Tie City, and you could buy cheap ties for like 50 cents a piece, and we'd swing them around our heads, man, and we'd fling them out there, make the girls scream. You know, we do that. Another, we buy these cheap cufflinks, you know, for like 75 cents a pair. So they look like big diamonds, you know, big Gavone diamonds.
I remember those.
There, but we looked like a bunch of caffones, man. And we'd throw them out to the audience, and the girls would fight with each other. And that was what we were doing. And then I started working nightclubs, even though I was not old enough. I was illegal. And we kind of got known for that. And that was the era of the twist, you know, peppermint twist and all that stuff. So we played those kind of clubs, and people would, in those days, people would fight. Like you'd play a half hour into your show, and people would be fist fight and hitting each other with chairs and stuff. And sometimes even a little gunplay. And when we started playing those Mafia Times Square clubs.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, man. There was
one
repeated
itself with punk rock. They did that too.
This made punk rock look like sissies, you know. It's one New Year's Eve. We were Joey Dee from Joey Dee and the Starlighters, you know, Peppermint Twist.
Yeah.
He was fronting a club for, you know, the mob, and we were hired to be the opening band. And somebody bumped into Jimmy Gums's pregnant wife, and did not say, "I'm sorry." Next thing you know, chairs are flying, tables are flying, fists are flying, guns come out, pop, 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 you know, and we're ducking bullets. And that's how it was in those days, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a trial by fire.
Don't bump into a pregnant woman on the East Coast. Let me tell you, if a husband's there,
you know what I'm talking about, Sandie Dee.
Yes, I know.
In fact, we played a club. We played a club in Staten Island. I can't remember the name of it. It's famous. It was a famous club. Some Italian name. Doesn't matter. But there was a fight there too. You know? Yeah.
Now, last time you were on, you mentioned that Chuck Berry was definitely an influence, as he was with many people.
Yeah.
You wanted to be Chuck Berry.
I did. I saw him on American Bandstand. I said, I want to be him. You know.
Now,
So
I've heard stories that he would go off to gigs. This is Chuck Berry in the later years. He would just take a suitcase with him to go to gigs. Is that an endorsement?
I wish they'd give me free Pepsi with sugar.
There you go. You want the Pepsi with the sugar?
Oh yeah, man. I don't.
Don't do that zero stuff.
Forget that, man.
There we go. We just did an endorsement. I hope we get money for
Anyway,
it.
Chuck Berry, right?
Yeah, well, and he would come in, he would drive in his own car, set up on stage, do his thing, grab his money, and go.
Worse than that, I worked with him many times, from the mid-'60s up until the last gig I worked with him, not as a backup band, but as an opening act at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas on a New Year's Eve. Chuck was making like $70,000 for the night, you know, cash.
Yeah, that's what the suitcase was for.
Yeah, no, he'd have it all in his pocket, man. He's big lump in his pants, you know, and he'd have the contracts made out for scale. Union scale was like $300, you know, so he wasn't paying taxes, and that's why he went to prison, because they finally busted him for that.
Oh wow.
Oh, he was a crazy man.
They were watching him, but way before that, they were watching him.
Oh yeah, well, that was the third time he went to prison.
He was tied in. They were watching
and Willie Nelson too.
They were waiting for a reason to get him, but they were watching him for a long time before that.
He gave him plenty of reason, I'll tell you that. You know, I busted his balls, man, in the airport at Vegas. I'm looking down there, and I see him coming up the escalator. He's wearing like this tacky pair of 1973 yellow double knit bell bottom pants. You know, looked like he bought them at the Goodwill. You know, and he wears one of those.
Guido. Was he a flashy Guido?
He's wearing like a polyester paisley disgusting shirt with a big collar. That's
how they all got caught, because they started buying flashy things, flashy cars, flashy.
No, it wasn't about flashy.
They all got the eyes on them.
No, he said he looked like he bought him off the rack at Salvation Army.
Okay.
No.
He was trying to be flashy.
So anyway, he
Fugazi.
comes up
It
the
was a
escalator, and I said, "Dude," I said, "where'd you get the vines, man?" He said, and he gets all excited, you know. He says, "Oh, Billy, man," he says, I got these pants for like $6, man, at the Goodwill. I paid $3 for the shirt, man." And this guy got more money than God, right?
No, it's
But he's so
true.
cheap.
I
He
know,
would sleep in his
true.
car rather than
right.
the hotel room. He could have bought the hotel, you know. I mean, that's Chuck. That's Chuck.
That's the other part of the story, was he would sleep in his car. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense because
I think it was
That
Keith
makes
Richards
sense.
that did a documentary on him.
Oh, it was a great. I saw it the other night. They reran it on Turner Classics.
Yeah, and they went out to his, you know, he had like a big ranch that he used to go around on his golf cart in, and and like you say, just he lived a very simple life, but you knew he had that money, you know.
But he was cheap, man. He liked it.
that's how you get rich. You don't get rich by
frugal.
spending all your money.
He was frugal.
Yeah,
You
well, you
spend
got
all
to
your
be
money
careful.
and expect to be rich.
Fats Domino
You
was.
invest. You gotta invest, Billy.
Fats Domino. I'm sorry.
You want to say Fats? Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, Fats Domino was another influence of yours, and you ended up writing songs for him.
Well, he recorded a song of mine. Yes, we had the first song I ever wrote with Chip Taylor, the guy that wrote "Wild Thing" and "Angel of the Morning." It became a hit for Barbara Lewis, who was a Detroit soul singer. No, the club was not called Bistros, Michelle. And so, you know, in those days, if you had a hit record with one of your songs, a lot of people would record it, would cover it. And Fats was one of those, and it was a huge, huge thrill. You know, I mean, so I finally met him some years later, and the guy that introduced us said, "This is Billy Vera. You recorded a song of his." He said, "Oh yeah, which one?" He said, "Make Me Belong to You." He said, "Oh, you know, I have 5 children, and that's their favorite song of mine." Well, I thought he was just, you know, blowing smoke, you know, trying to make me feel good. But then I found out years later, I was befriended by a guy who grew up with Fats. And I told him that story, and he said, no. He said, if Fats said it, he meant it. He said, Fats is not sophisticated enough to bullshit. You know?
Yeah, New Yorkers don't have time for that. Where's Fats from?
New Orleans.
Okay, well, New Yorkers don't have time for that, right?
Well, New Orleans people don't either.
Apparently. I'm learning.
You also wrote for the Shirelles.
Yeah, I wrote one song. I was their conductor and guitar player. Actually, no, 3 songs. I just talked to Shirley the other night. She's finally retired.
Oh.
Bless her. Yeah. Yeah, she said, I've had enough after all these years. Of course, you know, they were the biggest group until the Supremes came along.
Yeah.
The big girl group.
Yeah. Ricky Nelson.
First song I ever took to a publisher. And I had written the song with this new girl singer, Dionne Warwick, in mind. I said, can you get me that girl that new girl that just had that record out, Dionne Warwick? I like the way she sings. He said, well, I'll try. So a couple of weeks later, he calls me up. He said, I got a record on that song you gave me. I said, really? Great. Did you give me that girl? He said, no, I got Ricky Nelson. I said, Ricky Nelson, man, he's white. He can't sing that song. You know? And he said, you ungrateful little schmuck. He said, Ricky's going to do your song 5 weeks in a row on the Ozzie and Harriet show. You'll make a ton of money from that alone. He said, everything he records becomes a hit. And he was right. It did become a hit. Yeah. And it was better off with Ricky than with Dionne at that point in her career.
Did you ever get her to record it later?
No. You know why? Because she only recorded Burt Bacharach and Hal David songs.
Oh, okay.
You know, they had her tied up. And
they were big back then.
Oh man, they were writing great songs for her. Nobody could top them.
Mr. Burt Bacharach, baby.
That's right.
That was a nice thing for Mike Myers to do for him. You know.
Yeah.
Of course, he married.
Bert married Angie Dickinson.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They were married. Yeah, they had a child
wow.
together. Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And
Seems like a very nice guy.
I only met him once with her after they were divorced, but she became a big fan of ours, and she came to all our gigs, and she was responsible actually for nominating me to get my star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh,
yeah,
and she was a Rat Packer.
Yeah,
she hung out with that crew.
She was a cool chick, man. She was one of those rare women that could really hang with the guys and be like one of the guys, You could say anything in front of her, and she was just cool.
I just saw a Western it was a John Wayne Western, and she was the leading lady in it, and I was really surprised that it was her, because you wouldn't expect her to be in something like that. No,
she was a great lady, great lady.
Since we talked about white guys that shouldn't sing black songs, we've been joking about Pat Boone on this show for a couple of weeks now. Him doing Little Richard songs.
Pat Boone say what you will about his attempts at rock and roll. He's a great ballad singer.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also one of the nicest human beings you'll ever want to meet in your life.
Yeah.
My mom sang on his TV show, and then his granddaughter went to school with my son, and they were in plays together at school. And so I'd run into him at the plays, and he remembered my mom, and he just still wears the white shoes, the white Bucks. And he's just a nice, kind-hearted, gentle man. So I can't put him down for his taste in music.
Oh, and again, I don't think that was his decision. I think that was probably guys saying, "Hey, this is a great song. You should record this, and we'll try to make some money off that." That's probably what happened there.
Yeah.
I guess he did like 3 or 4 of his songs.
Huh?
I think he did like 3 or 4 of Little Richard's songs.
He did too. He did Tutti Frutti, Oh Sally.
Yeah.
He did those.
So I probably shouldn't mention the picture that's been haunting him for his entire life with the he was the original Dick in the Box.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a picture out there floating on the internet of him with a box in front of his, and it's poking through there. So I told Renee about this. She goes, "Oh my God, I've never seen that."
Hold your ears, Billy. Hold your ears. Cover your ears.
So we talked about that for a couple of minutes on the show the other night.
But he does a cover version of the Flamingos song, "I'll Be Home." Do you know that one?
I don't know that one. I like the Flamingos.
It's "I'll be home, my darling. Please wait there for me." And he sings the hell out of that song because that's his style. He was like a modern Bing Crosby.
Yeah, he's a crooner.
Yeah, but he made a lot of money for the songwriters of the Little Richard songs.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Can I ask a question, Rory?
And one of them was Little Richard. Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam.
I was gonna say, Billy, if you could tell our audience something about yourself that maybe we don't know yet, what would it be?
I'm a made man in the mafia.
You can't tell that public.
I would definitely say that's something he's probably never told anybody before.
Mainly because it's not true. But
I'm always in trouble, Renee.
Fished in.
Sandie, there goes Sandie Dee stirring up the pot again. Now we're gonna get mail. We're gonna get a lot of fan mail. Is Billy Vera really in the mob? Two legends. Hold on, but there's 2 legends that I do want this show to perpetuate, and one of them's that. So we have that now going in the gossip mill. Someone call the Pops. Let's tell the Pops so they can put that thing. The other one is, I don't know, Billy, if you want to share what you said to me backstage. I'm basing my entire career on, you can. I don't know if you want to.
I forgot it already. What was it?
We were doing it's outrageous, but I'm gonna take my shot right here. Is that we're backstage and we're troubleshooting the tech gremlins, and it was so cool because Billy was like, really calm, and he did say he did do an F-bomb, but it was like the coolest, calmest, like fuck, it was like really cool. And so I complimented him on that, and then he said, "Oh, I'm gonna say Renee said I'm the coolest fuck she ever had." And I want to start that. I want to put that in the zeitgeist.
I was trying to remember exactly what he said, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
I'll never forget. I will never forget.
There you go. Put that on my gravestone, man.
If you write another memoir, that could be the Renee quote.
Yeah.
She's going to write it on the back of the gravestone with Sharpie.
We'll put that on the back of the book. We do a second printing.
I want this to be the legend that goes with me the rest of my life. It's just great. Thank you, Billy.
That's it. That was a moment. That was certainly a moment. Yes, definitely.
As they say, my pleasure.
Yeah, and then we also had a lot of orgasm humor with the buttons.
Yeah, with the buttons.
Yes. Nobody knows Renee. Renee's spilling all the beans. Get your tea and your popcorn, y'all. Renee's spilling the beans right now.
This is all the backstage business we get into. It's just great. I wish we had it recorded. It was fantastic.
In case everybody out there in television land doesn't know, we are a bunch of perverts after all, and degenerates.
We're all degenerates and we're all perverts, and that's why we went into entertainment. So
what was so cute though was he was like, okay, can I say this on the show? He did that last time too.
He's
and we're like, oh yeah, whatever.
He's a class act.
We're on cable.
Oh, he's a
class act. I like to be respectful of who
I'm
I'm
going to
with.
tell my kids and my grandkids that I met Billy Vera. I'm telling everyone in my family that I met Billy Vera. I am beyond over the moon in the cosmos. I am like, come try to find me.
I'm texting everybody right now. Every time you don't see me, I'm texting everyone. Like I'm
telling you, there wasn't a dry seat in the studio.
There wasn't a dry seat in the studio.
There you go.
He's great. I just love this man. Oh gosh, love you, Billy.
We love
Can you tell us a little bit about the early years of the Beaters, when Billy Vera and the Beaters came to be?
Well, I had already had some hit records in the late 60s as a singer with Judy Clay and by myself. And then the 70s came along and the entire culture changed, both musically and in every other way you can imagine. And I couldn't figure out how to fit in, because I was almost like
death before disco.
And I could not, I wouldn't. I was one of many musicians that refused to do disco. But, I was like, I was sort of a throwback by then, all of a sudden, we were wearing like mohair suits with thin collars and thin ties, and suede shoes and black silk stockings. And all of a sudden, everybody's wearing, fringe and hippie bell bottoms and growing their hair stupid.
Rhinestones.
Yeah, all that crap, man. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't be a disco singer. I couldn't be a heavy metal guy. I was too hip for that stuff. And I just could not find my way in the music business at that point for about 9 years. And then at the last minute of the 70s, like 1978, I'm going to shorten this story because I think I told the long version last time I was on here. Dolly Parton recorded a song of mine. Did I tell that story last time? Dolly Parton, the girl.
Oh, yes, you did tell about the Dolly Parton song. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Dolly cut my song, became a #1 record, my first #1 record as a songwriter. And I get an offer to move to California. And I said, well, I probably did all I can do in New York, and maybe it'll give me a new start, a new home, and a new everything. So I go out there, I run into my old bass player from New York, and he says, why don't we start a band, man? We're 34 years old, 35 years old now. We meet some girls. That's really the reason we started the Beaters. Meet pretty girls.
There you go.
So we did, and then we get a job at this famous place in Hollywood called the Troubadour. And we played there every Monday night, the worst night of the week, at midnight. But the only people that came out were like the really cool people, the opinion makers, they called them. And they started to take to us, and we had lines around the block every Monday night at midnight.
Oh, wow.
And we became the hottest band in LA. But no record company guys would sign us. Because at that time there was this band called the Knack. They had a song called My Sharona.
Yeah.
And so all the record companies, they wanted to sign bands like that. And we were the opposite of them. We had 4 saxophones, and we were playing, R&B music, and these guys were doing rock.
And again, you said you got together with your bass player. How did the whole, hey, we're going to get a brass section come about? And
that was his idea.
He
said, how you love Fats Domino and Ray Charles and the horns they have in their bands. He said, why don't we start a band like that? Who cares if we make any money? We had 10 guys on stage. We're making like $6 a man a night, and we didn't care. We were in it for the girls, And we didn't even care if we got a record deal. And a good thing, because for a year, nobody even made an attempt to sign us. And then finally, when all those copycat bands failed, then they start looking around for, gee, we better try for something different. And there was nothing more different than the Beaters. We were like nobody else. We had 4 saxophones. I even had a pedal steel player in there for a while.
And again, you can see that when you guys were in Buckaroo Banzai, which we talked about at length last time because I'm a huge fan. So we won't talk about that this show. But again, you can see that, your stage presence and how it all works there.
Yeah. So we finally got a record deal, and luckily, in fact, we had 3 offers in 1 week.
Wow.
We had no offers for an entire year. And so it's like, okay, what company am I going to pick? I had 2 big companies, and this little company out of Japan called Alpha Records were opening up an American office in LA. I said, I'm going to go with them because A, we'll be the first group on the label, so that means we'll get the big push. And it worked. We got a hit record called I Can Take Care of Myself. And the follow-up was At This Moment. Well, just when this record came out that everybody believed in, the head of promotion got into a fight with the boss and quit. So we had nobody to promote the record.
Right.
And it went to number 79 and withered on the vine.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, the Japanese pulled the plug and Alpha Records was no more in America.
Right.
So for the next 5 years, we're playing clubs back. We're back to playing clubs in LA. And then one day.
And again, wherever you're going, you're getting a following. Like you said, you got lines out the door.
We were packing places everywhere we played.
There you go.
But one day I get the golden phone call. This man calls me up. He says, my name's Michael Whitehorn. I produce and write for a show called Family Ties, which at that time was the number 2 show in the country after Cosby.
Right.
And he said, we were at the club the other night. We heard you do this beautiful song that we thought might fit into an episode we have coming up. And again, he couldn't think of the name of it. And that immediately I knew it was At This Moment.
One, with the at this, with the 30,000 years, The
one you want to die at the end of the song. Yeah. If you're willing to die if she'll just hold you again, So anyway, so we figured that out. They use the song. I get a bag of mail from NBC. I said, wow, I've had songs on television several times, but no mail. So maybe people like this song. Maybe there's something to it. So I called up anybody that would still pick up the phone to me at record companies, and nobody was interested. I mean, literally nobody. And so one day I'm having lunch with a good friend of mine, Richard Foos, who owned Rhino Records, and they put out oldies but goodies.
Right.
I said, hey, Richard, you know, I'm getting all this mail
The
from
little
one of these.
ones, the little records, little
Yeah.
45s.
Yeah. So I said, would you put it out? He said, sure. And he only did it because he liked me, you know, as a favor. He didn't think he'd make a nickel off of it. And of course, they used it again on the show when the girl breaks up with Michael J. Fox.
Ah!
And then
That's when it took off.
America
Who loves
went
Michael
nuts.
J. Fox? Just raise your hand in the chats.
Yeah, you know.
Jesus,
So, yeah.
Mallory.
Yeah.
Loved him.
And then we next thing we know, we're jumping up the charts. We're leaping over Bon Jovi, leaping over Madonna. Everybody. Next thing you know, we're #1 record in the country.
There it is.
And life changed for me, you know.
And everybody began singing it at karaoke.
That's right. Badly. I have a karaoke story for you.
Okay.
One day, some years later, I get a phone call from this major porn star named Julia Ann. You can Google her. Beautiful, beautiful woman. She says, you know, Billy, she says, I go to this thing called Porn Star Karaoke every Tuesday night. She said, all the porn stars go there and people sing your song. They just murder your
Renee.
song.
Ron Jeremy singing your song.
Yeah.
I know. I'm here. I'm texting everyone.
I don't know
about
if it's sinking in, Renee. I don't know if it's sinking in. This is
So she says,
It's
she
sinking in. Yeah.
she says, you ought to come and sing your song for the girls, you know. She said it'd be really cool. I said, well, Julia, I'll do it, but only if you introduce me. So I go there that night and I pull in the parking lot and she's out in front of the club being interviewed by TMZ. And she says, oh, there he is now. There's Billy Vera. Come here. You want to get him on the camera too. So we go over there and we're acting like we're a couple, you know. And
All of a sudden you're Charlie Sheen.
They never aired our little portion. I'll say that. Anyway, so we go in there and
That's probably a good thing.
Maybe, you know, there's no such thing as bad publicity, as they say.
There you go. That's true. That's true.
Anyway, so we go in there. I get up on there and I sing to the karaoke track, and all the little porn stars go, "Ooh, Billy, oh!"
But you sang to your own song on karaoke.
Yeah, of course. Why would I sing to somebody else's song? You know,
Makes sense.
I'm going to sing to Bon
I wrote
Jovi's
it.
song.
It's mine.
You don't sing to my song.
I love it.
So anyway, that's my karaoke experience.
And you killed it. You slayed it, of course. To
Yeah,
the admiration of
Find that
porn
on
stars
YouTube?
all over.
Yeah, I would
Um,
Billy Vera, hero to the porn star community.
Your books, Harlem
Yeah.
to Hollywood, and you actually did a dollop of toothpaste, which is your novel.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about those? You didn't talk about those the last time you were on. That
Well,
much.
Harlem to Hollywood is my memoir, and I named it that because I first became known to the general public from playing in Harlem at the Apollo Theater in 1968. And so, and of course, Hollywood, I wound up in Hollywood. And so it's basically a story of my life and my career. And then that was made into a documentary called Harlem to Hollywood, which you can find on Amazon Prime. And we got some cool people. Dolly's in there. Dionne Warwick is in there. Joey D, you know, Richard Roundtree, my homeboy from back east, is in there. You know, Shaft himself. His own. I just went to Richard's.
What's the name of the
No,
documentary?
dude. Go
What's
Lord.
the name of the
I
documentary?
just
So we
went
can all look it up.
Sunday night to Richard's 80th birthday party.
And they were playing that song.
No, they mercifully they did not play either Shaft or my song. They were playing dance music that night, but that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I lost my place now. See, I'm getting old.
You said that the documentary came out.
Oh yeah, the documentary. Yeah, so we got a lot of cool people in there, and it's cool if you're not a reader, or you can read the book. And then A Dollop of Toothpaste is a novel.
Right.
And it's sort of, how do I explain a dollop of toothpaste? It's a dystopian novel that has elements of music. Our hero is a guitar player that had hoped to retire at age 65, but fiscal issues have kept him playing as a backup musician for the likes of Bonnie Raitt and people like that. And so he meets this very young girl, 19-year-old girl, who's from a very wealthy family, wealthy Connecticut family. They end up at his motel in the opening scene. And it's the next morning, so there's no dirty stuff. And she's watching television while he's taking a shower. And suddenly he hears a blood-curdling scream from the other room, and it's her. He goes to the TV, and the newscaster is reporting that the city of Los Angeles has just been destroyed by an atomic bomb.
Oh.
From enemies of the United States unknown. And just as they're aghast at this, his phone rings, his cell phone, and it's his Uncle Nicky in New Orleans. His Uncle Nicky happens to be the head of the mafia in New Orleans. And he insists, he says, "You better get down here right away. We got work to do." Like, what? The mafia is going to save America? Who knows?
They will.
So you know.
Well, that's a good setup. Don't tell us too much, because that's a good setup. Let's get people to buy that book.
Buy that book. I'll tell you, it's a lot. It's not only a music story. It's not only a mafia story. It's not only a love story that's unlikely love story, but there's a lot of love in it between families, between people, different families you wouldn't expect that would know each other. Mm-hmm. and get to befriend each other, and it gets pretty out there, but a lot of people love the book, in fact. So
I love that.
Out there is good, and again, you're talking about the music industry. Write what you know. That's where you get the best details from.
You bet, so
man. I'm banking it's a great book. I'll have to get a copy of it so I can get you to autograph it when I meet you.
It's on Amazon.
Yes.
Like
I'll be right behind Rory with my pen.
All right, baby.
You and your band are still playing in LA?
Yeah, we play not often anymore. We play once a month or once every 2 months. Mm-hmm. We just played. Let's see, the last gig was right around my birthday time. We had a big celebration there. Priscilla Presley came with her friends, and Sherry Curry of the Runaways. You remember the Runaways? And she showed up, and my friend Joe Pesci, the actor.
Yeah.
He shows up whenever he's in
that
town.
Guy, like you say, it's so casual.
Yeah.
That guy, Joe Pesci.
Well, he
loves music.
He does, and he's a good singer, by the way, if you never heard him.
I did. After the last show you were on, you told us that. I went and listened to some of his singing, and he's a remarkably good singer. Yes. And you were talking about a mutual blues singer that you guys really liked.
Little Jimmy Scott, jazz singer.
Scott, and Sherman Hemsley. You were talking about how Sherman Hemsley loved him.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, next time you come on the show, you're going to have to bring Joe with you.
You're great, man.
And let's talk some music.
Cool. Tell him Sandie Dee wants to meet him too. And Renee.
We'll get you Sandie's information so that you can go on No Icing. So yeah, we'll definitely put Sandie in contact with you so you can go on No Icing and meet the uncle, the Jersey uncle.
No pressure. No pressure. Only if you're comfortable.
Absolutely delightful as always. Again, it's so nice to have you on again, and again, you have such great stories. And again, it never ceased to surprise me with something out of left field, which we love. That's the best.
Well, good. Bring out the whack side, you know.
Thank you. Well, that keeps it fun, you know.
You bet.
That keeps it fun.
I don't have to tell the same boring stuff all the time, you know.
Thank you again for coming on. We're so sorry we got started late, but we again, it was a good show. The audio was good, and we're so happy for that it all worked out. And it's all smooth. And again, you got to tell us a little bit more about your life. Got to tell our readers, or our viewers about your books this time, which we should have done last time.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much. And Sandie, thank you for coming on as a guest. And
thank you.
I hope
Love
that
you,
your
Rory.
meeting
Love
with
you,
your
Billy.
hero
Thank you for the honor of meeting you. This is amazing.
was as
Telling
good as you
everybody
wanted
in
it
my
to be.
life,
I'm sure it
telling
was.
my family, my friends, everybody, they have to come watch
Good.
this.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me.
We love you, Billy.
Love you back.
Renee?
See if I can.
I'm
We're
here.
saying goodbye,
Thank you,
Billy.
Billy. Thank you so
Bye,
much.
Renee.
Yes, thank you so much for coming, Billy. We love you. You have an open invitation to anything at the network. Everybody wants time with Billy, and we're just so grateful for your time and your presence. So
Okay, let me know when you want me to push that button for you.
All right, I'll give you a call.
Sandie's your button there with you? Sandie's got an
Renee.
actual big red button that she
You
pushes on her
definitely do
show.
push my buttons in a good way. Thank you.
Okay.
You, Billy.
Yeah, I have
we
one.
we
I
gotta
have one
end
just
on
for
that.
Billy.
Oh, bye, everybody.
Good night.